It's the greatest mystery in literary history. A divisive question with highly contested answers. Who was the writer behind the pen name William Shakespeare? Welcome to Don't Quill the Messenger. Here's your host, Stephen Sable.
Welcome back, fellow Quillers, and happy anniversary. You know, it is so incredible to believe right now at this moment that we are celebrating the beginning of our 8th season. And by the end of the season, we will have achieved 200 regular episodes. That doesn't even include the additional bonus features and side episodes that we've done over the years. I am grateful for our program to be a part of the Dragon Wagon Radio Network, as always. And, of course, as always, for our anniversary show, we welcome, as our guest, producer Jake. Hey, Jake.
Hey, Quillers. Hey, Stephen. As always, it's a pleasure to join you for these anniversary episodes, albeit I feel very underprepared, but I guess why start now? You know,
yeah, because that is yes, because you are Jake Lloyd, underprepared Bacon. Yeah, that's exactly how people have always known you. Sure.
But no, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited just to chat, to catch up. This is probably going to be the longest conversation we've had in a while, so I'm excited just to chat with you. I hope that I don't, that the listeners don't mind just listening to us play catch up at this point, because I feel like that's what this is going to evolve into at some point.
Well, let's start with, did you have a good Christmas?
I had a fantastic Christmas. It was a very lovely, it was a rainy Christmas. Did you guys get the rain up in Oregon?
Oh yeah, it's the Pacific Northwest.
Sure.
It's like rain is our business.
Yeah, but we had we had a storm. It was like the biggest rainstorm we've had in years on Christmas Day. But it was really nice. It was a real quiet Christmas, which is something that we've been absolutely hoping for, and we've been looking forward to. So it was really relaxed, just a Christmas at home. I feel like we had last year Christmas here as well, but we had just moved back to LA at that point in like September, so we were still only a couple months in, so it still felt like we landed back in LA last year, and then we were in a rush to Christmas, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, I totally understand that. When we moved...
Oh, yeah, because you moved... Yeah, you did the exact same thing,
It was very similar.
Right.
We moved to Oregon. It was September.
Yeah, same.
But then it was sell our condo in LA, start brand new jobs, get the kids situated, and our eldest in school. The two little ones weren't school age yet.
Right.
And try to find and buy a house. And then we literally closed escrow on December 20th.
Wow. Right. Yeah. So probably more so than what we went through, what it was like. So I feel like even though we've been here in this apartment here for over a year, I feel like this was our first actual relaxed full year leading up to Christmas in the apartment. And
now, do you guys do the big tree and all of that?
Oh yeah,
Lots of decorations, lights, and all the thing, or no?
We do the real tree. We do the real tree. I think we gave up on the fake trees. When we one of the first times we relocated, and it was our crappy tree doesn't fit in the same space anymore. I was like, and then it was if we get a real tree, we can get whatever size tree we want every individual year.
Right.
And also it's just so nice. Also, it's better for the environment.
Yeah.
I used to think that it was the other way around, but I was educated at some point years ago about how, the plastic Christmas trees, most of them just end up in landfills, and the turnover is awful. Whereas real trees, they not only do they keep the industry alive, they keep healthy forests because of the constant turnover, and I don't know. But yeah, we love the real tree. We decked the house.
Well,
out.
Ever since we moved here, the first year, like I said, it was so close to Christmas, and I worked so hard for the first 4 days to just get the house livable. Enough stuff moved into the kitchen and functional, and all, just to get the house livable, so we could spend our first Christmas here in our new home. And then,
the furniture is the big thing too, where it's you have all this new. It's all of our old crap doesn't work anymore because it's a different space, different layouts.
For us, it was a 3 times larger space too. So we were we don't have furniture to fill this space.
Same, yeah.
But I had to go out. I was like, oh wait, we need a Christmas tree. And literally on Christmas Eve, I was out running around trying to find a tree. And
like from a lot, you mean?
Yeah, when they were all closed down and they were all shut down and none of the stores had them. And finally I went to our local Home Depot and they had 3 lonely little trees left. And I grabbed one and I brought it to the register and I'm like trying to get it home so we can get it decorated in time for Santa Claus to come and all of that. My kids at the time were 5. One was going on 6, one was going on 3, and Skylar wasn't even a year old yet.
Wow.
And so we're like running around and I'm like frantic and I got this tree and I had this cart that I was using to try to get the tree to my car. And I told the lady at the register, I said, I don't want she was going to ring up the cart. I said, I don't want to buy the cart. I just want to use the cart to get the tree to my car.
I'm renting the cart.
I'm going to borrow the cart. I swear I'll bring it right back. She said, well, I can't let you go out the store door with the cart. And I'm like, I swear to you, I'm going to bring it right back after I tie the tree to my car.
I'm surprised. Did they not just have like big flatbeds like all Home Depots have?
It wasn't. Well, it was in a container with water too. So like it was just a weird thing.
Got it. Okay.
So she's like, well, I have to ask my manager. And she grabs the manager and he's like, you just want to use the cart to transport the tree, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Not a problem. And he's about to go out the front door to remove the display Christmas tree outside because they're like out now, right?
Right.
And he turns back in the doorway and he says to her, don't ring up that tree. He says, take the tree, Merry Christmas. And he gave it to me for free.
That's amazing.
I'll never forget that as long as I live. And I love to tell that story. I literally started to cry right there because it just been such a frantic week and it'd been such a last minute thing. I choked up. I start crying. And the lady at the register, she goes, oh, don't do that. And then she starts crying. And then the lady on the other side at the other register, she starts crying. And we're having this cry fest at the checkout stand at Home Depot. I swear. I was like, oh, I should sell this to Hallmark, man.
It's also such a great, like, kind of welcoming, like, welcome to your new home. Yeah. Welcome to your new place. You know, like that is like.
That would not have happened at a Home Depot in LA. I could tell you right now.
Alexandra, hey, come on, be nicer. It depends on what part of LA you're in. But we had something kind of similar with like a bakery that like turned out to be our neighbors that we didn't know yet. Where it was just like it's one of those things where it's like it felt like this sort of kismet moment of like we went to this thing because we had people coming over and it was the same kind of thing where it was like a rush to find something and then the person recognized like, oh, didn't you guys just move into? And I was like, wait, like how do you know my address from around? You know, it was weird. But then it was like, oh, we're neighbors. And then they're like, oh, here, welcome. It's a welcome to the neighborhood cake that they gave. And it was just one of those like, oh, this is like a very nice little community that we're in up here. And it's like, it felt like very small town and it was kind of nice, especially considering that was what we were after. But little things like that that's a good sign that you're in the right place.
Right. Absolutely. Ever since then, now I cut my own down from my own property.
Right. Well, you have the property, you might as well.
Yeah. So.
And I love the idea that it's just every year you're going to be like, well, we need to listen. We're running out of these little trees. Eventually, you're going to have these giant trees that don't fit because they're the only ones left.
Oh, this year I took down a 30-footer and just took the top 10 feet.
Wow. All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I just look for one that looks really good up at the top.
Right.
Drop it as gently as possible so the branches don't all break off of it and everything.
Snap. Right.
And then I take the top 10 feet because we have a vaulted ceiling in our living room. So we have a good 10-foot tree in there. And then the rest gets cut up for firewood. And then when the tree is done, we cut it up for firewood. You know, I use it all. I burn it. We go through almost 4 cords a year of firewood. So
I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah, we see all the people who just like throw their trees out on the. And by the way, our tree is still up, and it will stay up for at least another week. We're like halfway to February, people. We're like, no, we decorated it, we brought it in from outside. We're gonna sit on this thing for as long as we can.
Okay, well, so that ties into Shakespeare in a big way because you know during Elizabethan times, 12 days of Christmas was a big thing. 12th night. Was just this week. January 6th is always the celebration of the Epiphany. But their Christmas revels technically continued until the 2nd of February, which is known as Michaelmas.
Oh, wait a minute. That's amazing. I got to write that down. We're going to celebrate some Michaelmas.
Yeah, the Mass of St. Michael is Michaelmas.
And got it. Like Michael. Right.
That's February 2nd, I believe. And that is technically then the end of Christmas revels and the preparation for the Lenten season, which would be starting with Ash Wednesday moving forward from there, right? So
Michaelmas, are you sure you have the right name? Michaelmas says on the old Google machine, on the Bing box, it says it's in September 29th.
Oh, I have that wrong then. What's February 2nd?
Is it Christian? Let's see. Is a Christian festival? Let's see. February 2nd, holiday. Yeah, I guess.
See, what do I know? I've only been doing this for 8 years. What do I know?
Candlemas.
Candlemas, sorry.
Candlemas.
Sorry,
yeah, that's I knew you had
that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it?
Candlemas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Candlemas. That makes a ton of sense.
There you go. It's also Groundhog Day, which is, listen, we don't have to compare the two. But.
No. If the groundhog sees his shadow by candlelight, then there's going to be 6 more weeks of winter? Is that how that works?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you had a good holiday, and we did too. My eldest is now too old for Santa Claus.
An end of an era.
Yeah.
Well, not entirely, because you have the other ones.
My middle daughter is figuring it out, but loves her little brother enough to not say anything. And my eldest, we were just able to recruit her when it came time. This was not this year, it was the year before last, when she was like 10, and she was like, I need to ask you some questions. And
I remember
I was
that.
like, okay, sweetheart, let's talk about it. And at first she was very disappointed and sad about it, until I explained to her. I said, well, the wonderful thing about getting older and coming to this realization isn't that you stop believing in Santa Claus. It's that you get to become Santa Claus.
You become, exactly. Yep. I remember. Yeah. I remember my nieces, who are now all, practically adults. But when the oldest one was around that age, I remember the moment, and it was because my brother he's a police officer in Nevada, and every year one of his departments gets roped into going to all of the other officers' house as Santa.
That's kind of fun.
There was
rotating Santas.
It's a really fun thing, and it's like every year one of them is the Santa they go to, and it's a really sweet little thing that they all do. And one year I remember Santa shows up, and I remember the oldest kid just like, you saw her in the corner of the room just like side eyeing, like, I recognize your nose, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then that was like the next year I remember showing up to Vegas holiday. I was like, all right, well, one of us now knows. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, then it becomes a recruitment game. Then it becomes, you're part of it. It's you're the magic for your sisters.
And she helps us with the elves too, because we have.
Oh, you do your little spies.
We have our
two
elves,
your little elf narcs.
Yes. At one point, it started with one, and then the kids were writing letters to her. And at one point, because they're siblings, they're like, "Do you have any siblings?" And so then she wrote back and said, "Yes, I have a sister." And they're like, "Well, could we ever meet your sister?" So then we had to go get another one. So,
I love that
Hazel and Holly. That's their names.
Cute. I love that they created their own lore for it. Then you were like, "Oh crap! All right, I guess we have to reinvigorate this lore."
Like, what did we do?
You should have been good. None of your kids wrote a letter like, "Are you one of 100 different elves that all hang out together?"
Oh, and it's a real thing that would be like one night, late at night. It's happened what happens more than once every season, where we're watching TV and we fall asleep and we wake up and oh shit, the elves. And we, it's like 2:00 in the morning. And we're trying to figure out what we're doing with these elves, because God forbid they don't move to a different place over the middle of the night, because the kids will wake up and go, they didn't move.
I remember like, because my sister-in-law was like, the elf brigade. And the joke every year was I would always go for Christmas, when the girls were really little. I would go and I would be there for like, a few days before Christmas. And those 4 days, the elf always found a location that was a little bit higher, because she's only like 5'2", and so the joke was that like once Christmas came, the elves started being really high on like high shelves and up in corners that she was never able to reach. And I was like, we need to have some consistency here along the hiding zones, or else the kids are going to eventually catch on. Hey, when Uncle Jake shows up, the elf, Henry was his name. Henry really gets really high all of a sudden. He's on like ceiling fans and stuff.
Well, it's definitely something I would say to anybody out there listening. If you're considering elves, don't do it.
Listen, there are some lies that are just okay to omit from each.
Yeah, it's a commitment. It's a harder commitment than doing this show every fortnight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the elf didn't get to 8 years. Okay,
no, not at all.
No.
So speaking of this show and the fact that by the end of this season we will have hit our 200th episode mark, we'll have to plan for that and kind of map that out and calculate that and make that something special.
I've been talking about it for probably 3 of these anniversary shows at this point. And I want to hold you to it and try to make good on it this year. Is I would love to do a new 101.
Yes,
a new onboarding episode. I've already started writing out questions and sort of a format because I mentioned, I think last year, that I kind of got the bug to maybe create some sort of authorship documentary or sort of a mixed media thing. That's to invite new people who have no idea, people who don't even care about Shakespeare. That's kind of my goal,
Yeah.
So I started kind of writing a rough outline of like bullet points and questions that I had that I found the answers to thanks to this podcast and whatnot. But I would love to sit down and do a new 101 that's a really new, like a really super concise onboarding at like the most perfect possible. Hey, you've never heard of this. Hey, you don't even really, are you not even familiar with it or familiar with Shakespeare? Like, here's a fun thing. Check this out. That's kind of my goal. So that could be a fun 200th idea.
Well, at this point, not unlike many of the listeners out there, but you in a different way, but you've heard every episode and over this 8-year span have become an expert in this topic, whether you liked it or not.
I'm going to push back on that. I don't think I would call myself an expert. I would definitely say that I am a resource that does a lot of pointing, because I'm that person who I don't retain stuff really well. I have there's something's wrong in the brain. I don't know what it is. You can ask Alexandra. She'll elaborate on it. But I don't retain things super well, and so I'm that person who goes, "Oh wait, wait, no, there's something about that." But you know what? You have to. You know what? Okay, look this up. Talk to this person. Read this thing. Listen to that episode.
There's an episode about this. I don't know which one, but there's an episode about this.
Yes. Or I do know which one, but I can't tell you the fine details of what they talked about, but I know they talked about it.
I sometimes have people ask me, they're like, "Oh, I want to know more about this. Which episode should I listen to?" And I'm like, if you think I carry the episode library around in my brain,
sure.
I don't remember all of this year's episodes by name. I can tell you, I could probably list you each of the 24 guests that I've had over the last year. Of course. But could I list the 150 different guests? Because there's about 150, because some have doubled, and obviously people like Earl and Henke and others who've been guests multiple times. But yeah, I don't think I could list all 150 guests.
It's actually a pretty interesting little task that I'm wondering if any of our dedicated quillers would ever be interested in, there's like, there's wikis for all sorts of things and all sorts of fandoms and shows and all sorts of stuff. It'd be really interesting to create a sort of like broad don't quill guide of, and it's not like we don't have to transcribe episodes or anything like that, but it's more just like, oh, this is what's covered in these episodes, or this is like, this guest spoke about these topics, and maybe creating a wiki where people can like search for a specific thing or a specific person, and it'll kind of show them all the instances of it. I know that there's already sites out there. Heck, we had one for our silly little D&D show that we did, where somebody made like a D&DW wiki page that had like, anything that came along in our story, it would be searchable, or you can create hot links. Essentially, it creates like a little Wikipedia, but just for one show or fandom or something like that. I don't know, something that would be interested in maybe maybe trying to find some help with. I mean, I'm sure it's quite a big of a task, so it would have to be somebody who's dedicated and willing. But hey, I'm just putting it out there into the world. I'm trying to manifest. If somebody's out there listening and goes, hey, I could do that, I know how to do that, then reach out to us.
Yeah, that would be a great idea. That would be a very useful resource, especially for new quillers who are coming in. Because, I always say, I recommend people, when people say, oh, I found your podcast, and I always say, well, you know what you should do is listen to the latest couple of episodes.
Right.
And then go back and look through the library and look for topics that are interesting to you. Don't just go back to episode 1 and start listening to them in order, because it's not a series in that sense.
No, not at all.
They're all standalone episodes. And so
it's a choose your own adventure.
It really
for sure.
is. And I think, if this topic intrigues you, then go look for an episode on that topic. And by the time you finish that episode, something else will have popped up that you will go, ooh, now I want to know more about this issue, or now I want to know more about that person involved in the mystery, kind of a thing. And that's the best way to do it. But, sort of a catalog or a roadmap would be very helpful. So you're right. If we have a listener out there who's interested in doing that, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Putting it out there into the world. You never know.
We did have a listener years ago, Alivi Pena, who reached out to me, and he was transcribing episodes and translating them to Spanish and putting them out there somewhere for Spanish speakers to
That's awesome.
Get involved. And he sort of fell off the map for a while, but he did get back in touch with me this year. I received an email from him, and as we are wont to do on our anniversary shows, we love to read communication from our listeners, both positive and critical, when that is an option. But Alivi did reach back out to me, and he said he's been catching up on Don't Quill the Messenger. And he says, wow, so much has changed in the Oxfordian world since 2021, which is funny because, that's 5 years ago, but we've been doing it for 8 now, so much has changed over the last 8 years, but definitely over the last 5 years. But he writes, new voices, new divisions, and new shifts. But your podcast keeps going strong. Congrats on that. It's inspiring to see the consistency and the quality you've kept up. Thanks again for keeping the Oxfordian torch alive with the podcast. And thank you, Alivi, for those kind words. We like to think we keep the consistency and quality to a certain level. A big part of that is producer Jake, who insists that we have quality recordings and well-edited pieces. I can't tell you how many times Jake has contacted me and said, where was this guest? On Mars? Because the recording quality is so terrible.
Well, wait, no, that makes me sound like I'm just complaining all the time.
No,
listen, I guess
you
I guess
also contact me and say, hey,
stripes.
great episode. This particular episode was great, or whatever. It's not like you're always critical, but you do have standards. Part of being a part of the network it means we have to live up to the Dragon Wagon Radio standard.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I definitely feel like, it's a constant evolution. But at the end of the day, as long as the material is pure and interesting and, people are enjoying our conversations, I think we also get away with sometimes having stuff that's, slightly less than the standard, but I feel like it all levels out.
Sometimes it's beyond our control. It's about the quality of the technology on the other end, because so many of my guests, and particularly this year, I've had so many guests from all over the world.
Right. Yeah. It's very international. It's definitely a very international year for sure.
Yeah. When I look back on it, we had guests from Australia, Greece, Poland, Portugal, England, of course, other sides of the United States, which sometimes feels like an entire country away.
Right.
And sometimes the navigating of time zones can be tricky. When we had guests in Italy, like sometimes the navigating of the different time zones can be tricky for me, because I'm like, okay, wait a minute, how many hours ahead are they? How many hours behind am I? And trying to schedule the recording session means that oftentimes I'm, up at 5 a.m. in the morning, or sometimes recording at midnight at night with guests to make it so that it's easier for them, because I always want it to be as convenient for them as possible. I don't want them having to record with me at 5 a.m. or midnight.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
So I'm as accommodating as possible, but it does get a little tricky. But also it means that sometimes the connection isn't that great, or the equipment they have on their end is beyond our control. And we do the best we can.
Right. Yeah, I mean, overall, like I said, I think as long as the quality of the conversation and the topics are interesting, I think people tend to tolerate a lot. So I'm very appreciative of all of our guests. I'm also we do ask a lot of our guests, and so I want to thanks to all of the guests who make any effort, because sometimes I know that even the idea of it is daunting to certain people who maybe aren't adept at it, or it's just they don't use these sorts of technology in their daily lives, and so why would they be familiar with it? And so we tend to throw people into the fire a lot. And so overall, I think we're pretty appreciative of everybody.
I had multiple guests this year, respond to my invitation to be a guest. And one of the first things they asked immediately was am I going to be on screen? What should I wear? I'm like, it's a podcast. There's we'll see each other and we can say hi through Zoom, but no, trust me, it doesn't matter. You could be in your pajamas if you want. It won't matter to me.
That's funny.
But yeah, sometimes they get a little self-conscious about that. They're like, oh, well, who's going to be watching this? And nobody's going to be watching it. It's all audio. They're just going to hear our conversation. And that tends to set several of them at ease. It has been a banner year. I'm very proud of the selection of guests we've been able to invite to the program. And I feel like several of them only agreed to come on the program because of how long the program has been running. The longevity and the library we've established gives us a sort of credibility in circles that I think otherwise might not respond. We've had multiple guests this year who are staunch Stratfordians, but they had great research about the works of Shakespeare to share. And I always make sure to treat all my guests with courtesy, and not try to make it a gotcha interview. That's not our style. It's not what we do. And I think that some of the guests listen to other episodes with other Stratfordian guests and realize that and go, okay, this is a safe place to come on. And the more, a lot of them English and history professors, but the more of them that have come to the program and had a good conversation with me about their research and didn't find it threatening or attacking or, trying to pin them to the wall on authorship questions. I think the more it has opened the door for additional guests, and that's what I'm finding, because I can reach out to a guest and say, hey, here are some of my previous guests. And then they look back and go, well, if that professor came on, and if that person came on, and if that person came on, then it must be okay. And I'm not going to find myself in some sort of an Oxfordian trap, as it were.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Also, it's, I'm sure there's a semblance of like, well, if they had their voice heard on this thing, I want to be a part of this conversation as well. I'm sure there's a little bit of FOMO of like, well, wait, if this person has this stuff and we're in line with them, or I can add to what they said. Like, people want to be heard, especially in a topic that they're passionate about.
Yeah, that's very, very true. If I had to look back over the last year and like pinpoint a favorite episode, it would be ridiculously hard to do, because there are so many great episodes this last season. I would say it's one of the best seasons we've ever had, and that stands to reason as we continue to improve and grow and invite new guests, and able to open the door to different areas of scholarship through inviting non-skeptics, as it were, to come and share their research. But one of my favorite episodes, I think, of the year and perhaps of all time, it certainly now ranks up there with the top 10, I would say, is the latest episode, the last episode of 2025.
With the law students?
With the students at Appalachian State. And Dr. Garrett Jackson from that episode wrote in to say he's already receiving additional responses, including a call that came into the university to the assistant provost, which was congratulating the school on offering the class and on inviting me to speak and creating the episode. He has announced that his class on the Shakespeare authorship mystery will continue next fall.
That's awesome.
He did point out that the students are not law students. They are.
Oh, okay.
And he asked if we could change that description on the website of the episode. So a little note there for you. They are honors college students.
Honors college students.
Yeah.
I'm literally on the website right now. I could do it right now as you speak.
They're not specifically. They're not specifically law students. They're honors students who have an interest in the law and
got it.
Political science and civics, right?
Understood.
He has invited me to join the class once again next fall to talk with a new batch of students. And he tells me that some of this year's students have now become members of the Quiller Nation. So that's
amazing.
Is super exciting. So welcome those of you students who are here with us now. And we hope you enjoy your journey into this mystery.
Yeah, this is sort of the on-ramp that I have been touting since the inception of the show. And that is like, I think that just the topic alone of Shakespeare authorship is really quite fascinating. Even putting the work aside, not that I think anybody should, but I love the idea of a class like that because I do think it's, just statistics. There's got to be some people in that class who's like, I've never read any Shakespeare. I've never seen a Shakespeare adaptation. There has to be some people who just don't care. But the topic alone is fascinating. It's also, I think it's a really poignant topic, especially in today's day and age, especially in an age of mass misinformation. I think that it's a really kind of important thing to be open about, whether or not you believe it's one guy or another guy or multiple guys or whoever. Understanding that the question itself is valid and finding interest in it, I think is really, really important. And I think it's a great on-ramp for lots of young people because it's a mystery. It's fun. It's a Knives Out movie, except it's about the greatest, writer in human history.
That's a great example, I think. Although I have to say the latest Knives Out movie was sort of disappointing to me.
Oh, it was my favorite of the bunch, Stephen.
Really? It was so predictable. I mean, as soon as you put Glenn Close in a movie, you know she's a villain. I'm sorry, she can't live it down.
Spoilers! You got to say spoilers in front of that, Stephen.
Sorry.
The movie just came out. Come on. What are you doing?
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Boy. It was too...
I got to edit.
It was too obvious and predictable.
That's it. That was the end of the podcast, everybody. We made a whole bunch of people really angry. Jeez Louise. You want to tell everybody who Luke Skywalker's father? Oh, I just did it. Whoops. Anyways, I was trying to make a dumb joke. I digress.
I
love that.
You just stomped on your own punchline.
I know. I did. I literally just butchered my own shtick. All right, hang on. I'm having more coffee here. Anyways, I loved it, but I digress. But
one of the great things. So, like, literally, it's fun because when an episode drops, obviously, I know when it's going to drop, and I get a notice when it drops. And I hope all of you have put a notification on yourselves too for wherever you get it, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get the podcast. I hope you have a notification set that tells you when the new episode is ready and available to you. But within an hour, or maybe it had to be 2 hours because the episode itself is almost 2 hours long. I received an email almost immediately from listener Tim Norman who wrote, "What a great episode." And of course, I'll pat myself on the back. He says, "You're a brilliant mind and eloquent speaker." Well, thank you, Tim. That's very kind. And I appreciate your words of praise. But I'm most appreciative of the fact that you enjoyed the episode because I agree. I think it is a great episode.
Yeah, I mean, listen, his thoughts on you aside, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But it really was a great episode.
Rude.
And it was a nice variety. It felt like a fun, special thing. We were out of the we're out of the realm of like, you in front of your computer, and it felt like a nice, a change of pace. And I love any episode where we can kind of extend
all
it
those
beyond
students'
the norm.
voices, and they had such great questions, and they obviously have been doing their studying and their research, and really a variety of questions too was what was so impressive to me. And so again, kudos to Dr. Jackson for bringing this to those students and allowing them to explore on their own in their own way, and sort of, figure out what they think the solution to the mystery is. It's really cool.
Right.
Along those lines, we received nearly a dozen requests for Mr. Brooks teaching materials for the authorship section of his class for high school students. Remember, he was a guest earlier this season as well. And I hope all of you who asked for that material, I either sent it to you or he did. I hope you're putting that to good use. I'm going to be volunteering to speak at local schools in my area on this subject. And you'd be surprised how receptive high school English teachers can be to an offer to be a guest presenter in their classrooms.
Interesting.
A 30-minute PowerPoint, and we have them available for you. Remember, it is available. Just reach out to me and I will send you a link to a PowerPoint presentation that you can adapt and change and do what you want with. And feel free, put in your own slides, put in your own stuff. There's a little guide there and some text to go with it to help you as well. You can just read it and show the slides if you want to. But if you do a little 30-minute PowerPoint and a short question and answer session with the students, can change a student's world forever. You might inspire the next great authorship researcher just by introducing them to the Shakespeare authorship mystery. And imagine how many additional how I became an Oxfordian, or how I became a post-Stratfordian, or how I became an authorship skeptic stories you might personally foster by just being a guest speaker in an English classroom at a school near you. So please consider that, fellow Quillers, as a way to help spread the word and increase the population of the Quiller Nation.
Yeah, plus the school teachers are so underpaid. I mean, listen, if we could just give you a day's worth of work, that's I feel like we should take some burden off of them.
Right? I mean, that's one of the reasons why they're very open and receptive to guests, saying, hey, I'll come in and basically teach your class for you for a day, Yeah,
seriously. Exactly.
And, it's obviously easier if you know a student, so you have an in, right? If it's your kid's English teacher or your niece or nephew's English teacher or whatever, that's always a helpful in. But there's no reason why you can't just go to your local high school and ask to speak to the head of the English department and make an offer. Hey, I'd like to come in and share this with your students. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how receptive they will be to that. It's like a field trip, only the field trip's coming to them.
Right, exactly.
So what do we have, Jake, as far as numbers for this year? I know how many episodes we put out. But what's the download? What do the download numbers look like? What are the top episodes of the year as far as listeners? And have we hit any major download milestones that we should be celebrating?
Let's see. So as far as this specific year, the most downloaded, the most listened to episode, it was also our biggest month. There was a massive spike in April, and I think a lot of that was thanks to William Shakespeare Deciphering the Name, which was the show with Louis Sousa, if I'm pronouncing that correct.
Yes,
correctly. I think that was I know that was. I'm looking at the numbers. I don't know why I said I think, as if it's not quantifiable. That was our most listened to podcast of the entire year by quite some margin. And it was a fascinating one, and I think that it sort of speaks to sort of the historical nuance that really fascinates me the most, where it seems like a really fascinating data-driven show just about kind of the history. Again, you can take that show and you can pluck it out of the authorship question in its entirety, and it's still kind of fascinating. And then it's kind of like a big, 12 episode high, because everything is really sitting around the same. I think we've got like a nice dedicated listenership nowadays. And so all of these shows sort of sit, we have like the same amount is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
But the next most popular shows that are all within, 10 listens of each other are The Truth Will Out. If I'm trying to remember which was The Truth Will Out, which guest was that? I forget sometimes the name of the shows.
Yeah. I know.
That was Amanda.
Oh yes, about her movie.
Yes. That was, and that was so that's the name of. That's why, because that's the name. Yeah. Rise of the Tudors, another historical episode, as I like to call it, was another popular episode this year.
That was me.
That was was that your solo?
That was a solo episode, I believe. Yeah.
Was that the first one of the year? I think maybe.
I don't know. I don't recall, but
I think that might have been the very first one of the year. And then we had Shakespeare's Imaginary Constitution.
Oh yeah, that was a great one.
Which was Professor Paul Raffield.
Yeah, that was Dr. Raffield. Yeah.
Dr. Raffield, I apologize.
I believe he's a doctor. Well, he's a doctor of the law.
Well, if it was a doctor, then you didn't write doctor in the show description.
Professor,
so we
Professor
never
Raffield.
referred to him as doctor.
No, you're right. I just want to call him a doctor because he's such an expert, and he's so well learned, and what a great guest he was. That was a great episode.
We had James the Poet King, was another a very popular one, and then Still Doubting Will, from June, which was the return of one of my all-time favorite guests, John Shahan.
Yes.
But yeah, those were kind of the top pods of the year. And again, the rest of them are all sitting very closely behind
well,
it.
Two of those are solo episodes. That's very flattering to me. But I know Luis will be thrilled to know that he was the most listened to episode of that season. Yeah,
but by quite a margin. It makes me wonder if there aren't people who just seek out his work, which is nice, and it's a hopefully we converted a few of them.
Well, there are,
and they stuck around.
Many of the listeners have written over the past year asking about our Latin friend Luis Souza. Some of you have tried in vain to find his essays and writings. They are not openly published, and Luis is a very private man other than his appearances here on this program. But I will provide you with an email address for him if you wish to write to him with your thoughts and comments or politely ask for access to his writings. No guarantees, however, that he will respond. But here is the email address that you can use to reach him. It is Earl@gmail.com. That is
one more time.
TheHeTalianaeARL@gmail.com. And you can write to Luis and share your thoughts and congratulate him on being the most listened to episode of last year, and ask him politely if he might want to share some of his work with you. As I said, other than his appearances for us, he is a very private man. So I can't guarantee you he will respond, but he has provided that email address for me to share to those of you who are interested.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and I'm longtime quiller and friend Vanessa Lops wrote to me this year to talk about the episode with law professor Paul Raffield. Vanessa is a lawyer herself, and she thinks that based on the episode, she detected that Professor Raffield may have already read Shakespeare by another name, and that he might actually be on the fence. He did not say so.
Right.
She is wanting to reach out to him to offer to send him a copy of the book if he hasn't read it. I do know this, Vanessa. We will be inviting Professor Raffield to attend our event at Gray's Inn London in May. And let's see about getting you there too. Would you like to be a presenter for one of our pieces that we will be providing? We're doing pieces on Hamlet Henry VI, Part 2, Measure for Measure, Julius Caesar, of course, The Merchant of Venice, and The Comedy of Errors, as well as a piece on the sonnets. So it's going to be a full day, a wonderful day, demonstrating what our belief is that the writer of the works of Shakespeare is one of the greatest legal minds of all time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's an important shout out to Tim and Jonathan Price, a most noble and incomparable pair of brethren. See what I did there?
I see.
They have been a great source for us across the pond. Tim continues to feed me with ideas for episodes and discoveries about the mystery, while Jonathan, a member of Gray's Inn, has assisted with our plans for May. So thank you, Price Brothers, for your efforts, and we look forward to seeing you in May. So what are we at as far as all-time total downloads, Jake?
I was just gonna tell you that. So according to the statistics available to us, which of course, vary at the degree of preciseness based on our client, our hosting client, we are sitting at all-time 167,873. And this year alone, just shy of 25,000 listens.
Wow, that's incredible. 167,000 downloads. That's not enough. Get out there, fellow Quillers, and share the word. We want to reach 200,000 by the end of this year. I think we can do it. So what is that? Let me do the quick math in my head. Some of you are shouting at your listening device.
If we had 25 this year, we need about another 5,000 to make it roughly 30, right? Because we're roughly at about 170, so we need about another 30 more. So yeah. Hey, listen. Any increase in number is a win, is a mark in the win column for sure. We also have, obviously, our countries is always one of my favorite things to explore. Obviously, United States and the United Kingdom are two prominent countries, but this year we have a pretty decent increase in listeners from Spain, India, Italy. We have a lot of Australian listeners, a lot of Brazilian listeners, about 500 Brazilian listeners. Let's go down to the bottom of the list here, because it's always fun seeing like that we have like, a little handful of listens from 11 listens from Uruguay. Hello out there if you're still listening from Uruguay, Bangladesh,
welcome.
Egypt.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Egypt.
Let's go.
Wow.
Let's go all the way to the bottom. Five from Serbia, Ghana. I love it. Who are these people? And hello. There's some countries I can't pronounce on here. How do you say? Is it Seychelles? 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 Oh, they're not listening anymore.
I don't know.
Right there you go.
Seychelles.
People are screaming at their podcast player.
Yes,
right now.
they are.
Qatar, Lithuania, Nigeria, Kuwait. Let's see. Who's the very last person? There's a lot of people. We have one. One person tuned in this year from Zambia, from Mongolia, from Senegal, Nicaragua. Listen, there are 13 pages of countries. At this point, I feel like most countries, at least one person's tuned in, right?
That's incredible. We literally have covered the globe.
Right. Let's see. Is there a master number? No, it doesn't give me the exact number of like how many individual instances.
Yeah, sure.
But
it's based on IP addresses, right? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so you don't know how many episodes that IP address has downloaded or listened to. They could be going through the whole catalog for all we know, or they may have just found one episode that they really liked. Or
yeah, I think the number is per individual download. So when it's 5, it's probably one person who listens to 5 episodes would be my guess.
We should we need to look into that and see if it's 5 people or if it's one person,
Right.
or if there's any
All
way
right,
to know that. I don't know that there is.
I figured out how to do some quick dirty math here. There's on the PDF that I downloaded, there's about 30 per page. So there's 2 pages, it's 60, 90, 4 pages is 120, and then about a half. So let's say we're in about 135 countries.
I want to say last year it was like 141. So I think we're pretty consistent.
Yeah. European Union counts 11 downloads. Yeah. Anyways, I'm getting lost, but that's one of my favorite things. Just the fact that that's a testament to just how great a format something like a podcast is, because it's just great that we have people that can tune in from wherever they want all over the world.
Well, and one of the things that I always love about it too is they can listen whenever they want. And, I have listeners who respond and say, oh, I listen to you while I'm gardening, or I listen to you while I'm jogging, or I listen to you while I'm doing my morning workout, or while I'm doing my chores, or, on my ride to work. I listen to half the episode on the ride to work and the other half on the way home. I've had listeners who say, that episode was just the perfect length because I caught half of it on my commute to work, and then I listened to the other half and then I've had some who said, I sat in my driveway for 10 minutes finishing the episode because it was longer than my ride home, or,
right.
And I love that. I love that stuff. It's really weird if they say, I listened to you in the shower. I really don't need to know that. Thank you. That's probably one that's a little TMI probably.
I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts in the shower, so I get it.
All right. Then.
It's a nice quiet time. It's one of the nice quiet times with no distractions. You could just, tune in. Also, if you take long showers like I do and you just waste a lot of water because it feels nice, then, it's nice to have, someone chatting with you.
All right, then. Thanks for sharing.
We also, this is quite a bummer. Is Chartable was a website that was really great in aggregating reviews from all over the world over various services, but primarily iTunes. Unfortunately, that got bought by Spotify and buried. The service was destroyed, so we no longer have the option to see our reviews from all over the world, and I'm only being served on my iPhone the way that anybody else can look right now. Reviews that are I'm guessing are local or domestic, I should say. But we do have one from June that obviously new since last time we did this. It's from Holland, America is the name of the user. The title is Daily Listener, 5 stars. Love the more deep dive episodes with the experts. It's important to have this medium to try and spread the word of the movement. So thanks for that, Holland, America. And please, we say this every year. It's at the end of every episode, but leaving a rating or review is a really great, simple, easy, free way to support the show. It takes 2 seconds in any podcast player you're on. Even if you have been listening to the show, it's 8 years now. We're 8 years deep. If you left a review the first year, you can just leave another one and it'll bring your new review right to the top. Because let's be honest, the show isn't what it was, even a couple of years ago. In fact, I can scroll back just now seeing 2 years ago. I'm curious if this person is still around. A user by the name of M. Katie Hunter left a middling review for us that says the show presents the case for only one side of the debate. Why not present rebuttals? And I feel like this year, like you mentioned earlier, even more than others, like the doors are a little bit more open to at least welcoming, and we've always welcomed, but I think maybe people are finally taking us up on it. To your earlier point, that I would be curious if this person MKD Hunter still feels that way, and if not, update your review, because again, the reviews are a really great way to essentially tell the algorithm, our almighty algorithm that rules us all, to serve our show to other people in suggestions. And shows that don't have a lot of reviews don't get served and they don't get suggested. So please consider leaving a review, and a new review, even if you've left one previously, and it'll just bring all your reviews right to the top, and it will, hopefully give us a little injection on at least stuff like Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Now, do you have any other new reviews that you can share?
That's the only one that it shows me. I'm trying to scroll back because it does not seem to be chronological, which is quite frustrating. Yeah, I don't know why they but there's a possibility that some of these came in after.
It shut down.
Some of
or
these
it changed.
No, or like after we did our last episode, meaning they're new to us. But I don't. I think some of these look familiar to me. So yeah, I think that might be the only one that pops up there. But hey, if that's not a call to action, if we're only seeing one new review on this specific platform, I will say also our Spotify listeners grew a lot this year. I think a lot of people are listening on Spotify, and so there's a possibility that people who would be leaving reviews are just there, and there is no. You can leave a rating on Spotify, and please do, like a star rating, but there's no place to actually leave a specific review on Spotify.
Yeah,
so
I think another thing too is so many now, because I give the email address at almost every episode.
Right.
So many of our listeners now know how to reach out to us directly with their comments.
Sure.
And so I think when they do that, which is great, and we love to hear from all of you. But then I don't think they think about, I should also write a review. I've already given my personal comments to Stephen and Jake.
Sure.
But what we need is for them to give their comments to other new potential listeners who go, this show seems to be right up my alley and something that I want to be a part of. That said, I will say, obviously, the greatest number of emails I received this year were from listeners who were encouraging about my bout with cancer and my surgery. So many of you, it is so humbling to have received so many blessings and prayers and kind words of encouragement from listeners regarding that. It was probably the most popular topic to receive emails from you all about this year. I'm hoping the year coming won't include anything like that, but will still include as many emails from all of you. One I did want to share, though, is from Anne Routon, who wrote that she missed chiming in before I shouted out the crowd that sent, as she puts it, accolades about my recent post. But she says, it doesn't stop me from adding my voice. You have heard from me before, and I have said before that I really enjoy your solo contributions. Your last one was simply superb. I have been thinking about it all day. Here's the part that I want to really share. I also want to mention that I frequently am in awe at the patience and courteousness you extend to your guests who are not in the Oxfordian camp. I often find myself rolling my eyes at some of their comments or muttering expletives at their ignorance, but you unfailingly make them feel safe and at home. I am not really sure how exactly you are able to confine yourself to such good manners. I don't think of myself as impolite or a confrontational person. Nonetheless, I am sure I would not be able to restrain myself. Then she says, one of these days I will send you a critique that is not exclusively positive. In the meantime, you'll just have to, believe me, because I am right. Very, very pleased you have recovered so well and that your voice is back to normal. Thank you for sharing, Anne. Thank you, Anne, and I look forward to the critique. We have always said and always do say we want all your comments. If there's an episode you're not happy with, if there's something we missed, if there's something we're not doing, I can remember in past anniversary shows, Jake, one of the chief critiques that we received was people would say that I did too much talking. And that I interrupted my guests too frequently or interjected too often and didn't let them speak enough or share enough. And I was very conscious of that and tried to change that as much as possible over the subsequent seasons to let my guests share what they are there to share. But sometimes I can't help myself. I want to interject or add something or
it's also it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's supposed to be a conversation too. It's not supposed to be an oration. If people have other outlets where they can simply speak in one direction, and I always aim that the program should indeed be an actual conversation versus us just giving people the floor, and that's not just, I'm not just meaning people who maybe you personally disagree with. I'm talking about all people. Like, it's not like I said, I think the program is best when it's two people talking about something versus one person orating.
Well, and even when I have someone, and it's not just that we've had more Stratfordians on this past season and we have, but we've also had other guests who had other theories. We had the James the Poet King episode was not a solo episode. That was an episode with a guest who believed that James was the author. We've had a Baconian. This last season. I want to say,
and that's somebody who thinks that I wrote it, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, right. Yes,
we had a Nevillian, I want to say, at one point. So yeah, my thing, what I always say, and there are some staunch Oxfordians who are like, why are you giving those people a platform? Well, who gave you a platform when you were first starting out in your research and in your scholarly pursuits? Somebody did. Always be humble and kind. Look back and reach back a hand and help the next one behind you is a great lesson in life. And I feel like every skeptic of the Stratford man is beneficial to finding the truth, because they're at least inquiring, and every one of those guests brings something to the conversation that is enlightening to me, that in many cases only strengthens my belief in Oxford as the chief enterpriser here. But I am more and more, because of some of these guests, coming to believe that he obviously was not acting alone. He had a flock, as it were, of assistants who I believe assisted him with the works, and in some cases...
And so are you coming around to the idea that potentially the actual act of writing, the act of the composition, he had aid with?
So I'm becoming more and more convinced that the whole Fisher's Folly experiment, and that's what I'll call it, was him gathering some of the best minds and writers that he could around him to help him tackle this task. And I believe his task was twofold. I believe one, it was definitely a commission from the Queen to increase nationalism at a time when the country was under deep threat. And then the other task was succession, dealing with the problem of succession. And I think that we underestimate how much the problem of succession was looming and weighing upon all of these players at the time, who knew their immediate past history as being one that had been ripped apart over the centuries by civil war.
Right.
And I believe that that is one of the key and crucial themes that repeats itself over and over and over again in the writings. And so I think he organized these guys, and not unlike a group of writers today who sit down and sort of spitball ideas and come up with characters and plot lines and storylines. And, but there's got to be a head writer. There's got to be someone in charge.
It's a writer's room, essentially.
Right.
It's like, it's there. It's a think tank, a brainstorm, but it's also, at the end of the day, it's one person's job to put pen to paper and to, aggregate it all.
Every sitcom and most long form dramas, serial dramas have groups of writers. Yeah. And even most films now, when you see written by, it'll say written by, and it'll be, based on a story by this person, screenplay by that guy, and then somebody else. And then usually the director gets like third writing credit, because inevitably in the process of making the film, the director is making some changes to the script.
Yeah, and there's a lot of names that you're not seeing in any of the credits.
Right.
I've been there. There's a lot of times where, you get hired to do a pass and it's an uncredited pass, and it's simply a cleanup or a sweetener, they call it, when it's something is like, oh, I've done that, where I've been handed a script and it was like, we need at least 10 more jokes per 5 pages. And it's just like, figure out a way to take something that's already on the page, but like find a joke here or there. Like, and that sort of stuff tends to be paid work that's uncredited. So yeah, again, takes a village to raise a child that is the greatest works of all time. Literally.
Yeah. I think so. I think it's true. And
interesting. I like hearing that.
And then, there's this whole connection to the Rosicrucians and Freemasonry that I think that can no longer be ignored. And those symbols and codes that are involved in that, the sort of secret society angle, I think is very accurate and very true. And let's face it, secret societies do exist. It is not a conspiracy theory. They do exist. And there are modern versions of secret societies that still exist. And, probably one of the most famous ones that's not so secret anymore is the Skull and Bones Society that I think is connected to Harvard or Yale, one of those schools, one of those Ivy schools. Presidents of the United States have been members of that society. There's also a very staunch evangelical Christian group.
Yale, yeah.
That
Skull and Bones is Yale.
Is Yale, yeah. There's an evangelical Christian group that is very influential in politics that is not so secret anymore, but does a lot of machinations behind the scenes. So, these things are not like crazy talk. It's not tinfoil. It's very real. And when you're dealing with an aristocracy, a level of nobility, it makes complete sense that they would have little secret groups. How do you think all those civil wars in English history first were started? Through secret groups conspiring together to overthrow the current monarch or push their guy forward as a potential king or whatever,
Yeah, what is a government if not kind of a secret group, really?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, that's very true.
We're all just in different secret groups that are just less secret than they used to be.
I do want to quick shout out to some of the regulars, as it were. Our maybe it's our little Fisher's Folly group, as it were, because there are several of you out there who are very regular in your comments about episodes or sending me ideas or new research that you have found. Some of these names are very familiar to listeners. John Anthony, obviously, is one, and he's been a guest, and you've been to his YouTube channel. I'm sure a lot of you. The Magnificent Mystico is another one who has been a great contributor. Ron Raffel is another one, also with a very extensive YouTube collection that some of you, I'm sure, have rabbit holed into. Off and on over the years, and most recently, Alan Tarika, who was a previous guest as well, has been sharing some interesting stuff with me. He tracked down information leading to mention of Elizabeth having a hidden heir in the book An Elizabethan Cardinal, which is a biography of Cardinal William Allen that was published in 1914. And he points to the significance of the language change in the Treason Act of 1571. That's the language change regarding issue of the Queen's body. And the understanding at the time of the implications of that language, not just in England, but the rest of Europe was paying attention, especially Italy, who was actively spying on England, of course. And he says understanding details about William Allen is the key to the aspect of the knowledge that was shared by so many, but that also made so many fearful to acknowledge that knowledge, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah.
He entered some of this stuff. He's been doing a lot of stuff with AI, and some others of you have responded to my requests about, what are you doing with AI and how does AI feel about the authorship mystery? That's getting very intriguing. We're going to have some future episodes. John Foss has obviously dove deep into some of the AI out there, and Ian Stockdale's another one who has been diving into AI. Tarika really has been doing the most, is what I have seen so far, even to the point that he got Gemini willing to admit, after feeding Gemini with this information about William Allen, the Treason Act, and then the very public records of the Arundel accusations against the Earl of Oxford. And this is what he sent me that Gemini had to say. From this perspective, Arundel's accusation wasn't a fabrication, but a dangerous truth he was using to destroy Oxford. It becomes a contemporary confirmation that the affair and its resulting child were known and whispered about in court circles. That'd be the affair between Oxford and Elizabeth. This transforms the Shakespearean canon from a collection of commercial plays and poems into a deeply personal and political family drama with the fate of the Tudor dynasty hanging in the balance. That's from Gemini. Gemini continues to say, while mainstream historians and literary scholars firmly reject any Prince Tudor theory as a conspiracy with no definitive proof, the historical documents that are pointed to are undeniably real. They prove that the idea of Elizabeth having a secret child was a tangible and perilous topic during her reign, directly linked to the man many believe was the real Shakespeare. That's some incredible shift that is happening thanks to people like Alan and others who are feeding, whether it's Gemini or Grok or Chat GPT or whichever one you're using. I don't know them all because I really don't involve myself with AI much at all, which is why I asked listeners to sort of chime in on this. So I'll be reaching out to Alan as a return guest this season to dive deeper into this, because I think we could be on the precipice of some real paradigm shift here now.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do you use AI at all? Do you?
I am the wrong person to talk
You
to
hate
about this
AI,
topic.
don't you?
I am so staunchly anti-AI that I literally sell anti-AI t-shirts on my production company's websites. Now, when I say AI, I mean specifically Gen AI, generative AI. I want AI to help us, fix things that are broken. I don't want us to, replace the human experience with AI. As an artist myself, I don't think there is such thing as ethical generative AI. I think that, what people are calling large language models aren't really large language models. I'm in this space in such a aggressive way that I've been turned off by it for so many reasons. I think that we need massive regulations. Listen, when it comes to quote research, I think we need to be really careful with the language we use. In fact, you started this whole thing by saying this is what it quote thinks of it, and even the phrase thinks of it humanizes something that is essentially a tool that is predicting the next word in a sequence of words. And my concern is that we are going to put in too much trust in something that should just be a tool. This is my best example I can give. I have a big board, a mixer board, digital mixer board with an interface connected that I use to record all of our podcasts here in studio, and then I use to record music, and it failed. I had a massive problem with it. The whole thing just tanked. I did a bunch of research to try to figure out how to fix the problem. And how now every search engine has the automated AI generative thing where it shows you like, this is probably what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Nothing would come up at first because it would be like, or something that would come up. It's clear it wasn't really what I was asking. I started posting on forums all over the internet, and I would break down, hey, this is the task I'm trying to fix. This is the problem. And then I would compare it to a different device, a different piece of hardware that I have, this other little task cam interface. And I would say, on this interface that I have, if I do this, and this, this will be the workaround. Is there a way to do that on my board? And I would go in detail, and I posted this all over the internet. The next time I searched for it, the AI fed me my own words from these things about the wrong board. It fed me the language that I was using in describing the task cam unit, saying, hey, this is what that does. And in my post, it was, is there a way to do that with this thing? This AI was saying, hey, to do that with this thing, you just do this, and this. But none of that applied.
So you're saying,
and
so what you might be saying is that there's a potential here that authorship skeptics we could just be on a mission to just keep feeding every AI with our viewpoint, and eventually it will overcome
You know what?
the
Yes.
orthodoxy.
But here's the thing, though, is that by doing that, you're fighting poison with poison.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you're not going to create any sort of confidence in your argument if it's going to be looked at as like, well, yeah, that's just because a bunch of people say that, and so AI thinks it's true. But anyways, you got me on a tangent because I hate AI.
Another question I'd like to ask: when you talk about generative AI, how, if at all, do you think that generative AI is different than CGI? Is there really a difference? And is it all just
100%.
animation?
No, not at all. CGI is dictated by a human being. CGI is a drawing. Animation nowadays is CGI. Generative AI is an amalgamation of, in the same way that large language models are they predict the next word in a sequence of words. Mm-hmm. That's really all it's doing. Gen AI for images, for motion picture and still images, is just predicting the next pixel. That's all it's doing. And it could not be more different because, a software that, when working in special or visual effects rather, that is creating a texture to create Gollum in Lord of the Rings, isn't basing that texture on, every piece of image that's ever existed in human history that's stolen and copying that. Mm-hmm. It's being created by a human being. And yes, that might become a template that gets used by other humans down the line because someone did the work once. Every visual effect, computer generated image that you might see in a movie or TV that might be considered a plugin. For example, there's a plugin called Particle Playground, which is like anytime you see an explosion in a movie or TV show and it just has all these different things that go everywhere. Yeah, we're no longer at a point where someone is going in and drawing or creating every little individual one. There are now plugins, which is essentially like a thing that you add to software that will help you do that. But that plugin was still made by somebody once. It's the difference of like selling a tool versus, again, like having a computer generate a sequence of pixels based on stolen other work. It's hard to describe, mm-hmm. but it's the kind of the best I can do it on the spot. They are very different things, and they shouldn't be conflated either. Also, CGI gets often misused. A lot of times people say like, "Oh, that thing looked CGI," when it's not, quote, CGI, it's visual effects. It's, there's a difference between those two things in movies and in animation. Yes, nowadays if you go to any Pixar movie,
an animated explosion and an actual explosion on film, for instance,
right? Which might be composited in visual effects because it wasn't there on set on the day. But it was shot elsewhere on a blue screen or green screen or that kind of thing. And then also sometimes that stuff is indeed just stock, where it is, like I said, it's like it's a preset or it's a template or it's something that exists that will just be used over and over again. It's the Wilhelm scream in a visual format. Do you know what the Wilhelm scream is?
The Wilhelm scream.
Yeah. Have you never heard this? Oh, I'm so excited. This is a task for everybody. When we're done with this episode, Google the Wilhelm scream. I believe it's Wilhelm, Wilhelm. Mm-hmm. It's this little scream, and I think it's named after the gentleman who recorded it, of just a guy going, ah, right? And it was, I don't remember what the first movie it was, but it was like something from the 60s or 70s. And it's a little Easter egg. It's in literally every single movie that anybody ever screams in. It's just reused over every time there's an explosion or anytime someone gets shot or gets thrown off of a cliff in some movie, you'll hear the Wilhelm scream. And I think people conflate AI, generative AI, with like, oh, it's just like a Wilhelm scream. It's just something that like somebody made once that we're all. It's
like
reuse.
A laugh track, right? For like sitcoms,
exactly,
like the old laugh track, and you're like, hey, that goofy guy that's laughing in the background, he must attend the filming of every sitcom on every network.
Yeah, somehow he was in New York, he was in London, he was in LA, he was in Vancouver. And I'm a guy, I have an obnoxious laugh. I have a very loud, distinctive, obnoxious laugh. So I would be that guy. But anyways, again, I'm on a whole big tangent. AI, it's an interesting tool for research because it does a good job of deciphering a bunch of data that exists. But the problem is it's trained on everything. And so to put a reliance, all right, this is the best way I can say it. To put a reliance on AI to help justify anti-Stratfordianism is no difference than putting a reliance on academia and history to justify Stratfordianism.
Oh, I like that.
It's the exact same thing.
Wow. Okay.
Because academia is trained on this fountain of knowledge that we don't believe to be accurate, right?
Yeah.
And so it just gets reiterated, and it just gets regurgitated and then eaten and then regurgitated and eaten all throughout the hundreds of years. And now you go to the store and you go to the Huntington Library here, and you go to the Shakespeare section, and it's our bald-headed guy with the ruff, and it's it's the same. It's all the Stratfordianism, and it's everything, because that's what it is now. And to put any reliance in an AI research that's being trained on things that we cannot prove to be true, because again, it's all about the training. And right now, most big large language models are trained on everything.
Well, it's like citing a source who used a source who used a source who used an unreliable source. And as a former journalist, I can think of several of the editors that I've worked for in the past when I used to work in newspapering. Well, who are your sources? Well, you need 3 sources on this story before we run it. Well, what are your sources? Well, this is my source. Yeah, but that source is getting its information from the same source as your other source. So those are not independent sources. That's still one source.
So many times. Yeah,
you're using the same source 3 times. You're not actually citing 3 independent sources.
Right. You're just, at that point, you are just a proxy for another idea.
Right. And regurgitating the same stuff that could be false.
And so again, I'm not, my gripe, my very stern, and when I say I have a line in the sand, if somebody posts something and I see AI generated imagery, I will unfollow or I will hide that person's posts. I have a 0 tolerance policy in 2026. It was, maybe 10 or 5 years ago when everybody changed their profile photos on social media to those little generated thumbnails of you as a spaceman, that was one thing. But with all of the knowledge, not to mention just the effect on climate, like it's such a problematic, toxic thing in so many ways that I don't think there is any ethical way that in 2026 now, every single prompt is a problem. And every prompt is generating so much power that is eating away at our water supplies, eating away at our electrical grid. And that is having very real world effects on people who live by data centers and who live by this. And yes, these idiots at the top of these companies can say, oh, well, when you do a chat GPT, when you do a single prompt, that doesn't cost any water. That doesn't cost any energy because it's this percentage of this percentage. But that's like saying, oh, it only takes 10 seconds to win a gold medal because the event was only 10 seconds long. What you're not accounting is the decades of training that it took to get to that point. So every individual chat, I refuse to literally do a prompt on ChatGPT. Like every single prompt is in my opinion, is worth to our both society, to our planet, to our economy right now, way more than what they are telling you it is. So anyways, all right, that's my...
there you have it, fellow Quillers. If you want to get Jake on a roll, mention AI. If you want to get me on a roll, mention Shakespeare authorship. You sound like me in a room full of people who say, why do you doubt that Shakespeare was Shakespeare? And boom. My wife literally will like cover her face if somebody asks me that question in a group of people. She's like, "Oh God, you just unleashed the Kraken." What were you?
All I'm saying is 2026. Welcome to my new show. Don't prompt the messenger, where I'm going to be talking all about Anyways, yeah, I'm on a massive tangent.
Well,
All
we
my
definitely
flowers
are going to do a future
sorry.
episode diving into
Sorry
this
about-
and seeing what our AI researchers are coming up with, and because I think it's fascinating and a great exploration. But I do heed your warnings, and I do think there is a lot of danger there. It's true. It's also uncharted territory.
Yeah, and also there's one other thing that I'm going to add to this, just because you did open the floodgates, and now the water must flow. And that is that let's not forget that these are not people are like, oh, stuff like OpenAI, large language models and OpenAI. It's democratized information. It hasn't democratized information. These companies are still owned by one or two people with motives.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are not pure.
Oh, well, we've seen such proof of that with these different search engines too, right? Like, if Google wants you to know it, then you'll know it.
Exactly.
If the people behind Bing want you to know it, you'll know it. If they want you to know this, they'll push that forward instead. Yeah, certainly. I mean, look at every news network now too.
Exactly. By the way, groundnews.com. I suggest everybody uses it. But yeah, no. And so at the end of the day, like these things are also still just arms of the capitalists that own them. And like, never forget that obviously this might not affect the authorship question. And I'm speaking much broader here, but about what is data and what is truth and what is the world that we live in when it comes to information. That like at the end of the day, you got to look at the guy who owns OpenAI and who owns Sora. If you want to see the reason why your prompt becomes what it becomes at some point, because they're not going to allow, look at what happens on Grok, on freaking Twitter or X, whatever it is now. The amount of times somebody will post or find it asks a question about the administration or about Elon Musk, and then Grok answers what I believe is probably a truthful analysis of information. And then 5 days later, that same prompt will give you a different response because the data has been filtered through a human being's point of view.
Sure.
So at
the
end of the day, money is God. It's the same reason. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to do a comparison. Yeah. Like, what does Grok say? What does Gemini say? What does ChatGPT say? Yeah. If we entered the exact same prompt into each of those, what will we get? That would be interesting analysis, I think, to look at. So hopefully we can dive into that in a future episode with some of our guests. Other guests we have lined up for this 8th season of episodes. We will see the return of our friend Earl Showerman to discuss his new book. P.S. It's all Greek to me, but he will explain it in the episode that is already recorded and coming to you next. Featuring Earl and my wife, Annie. The three of us sit down together to talk about Earl's book. There is a fascinating episode coming with author David Crew about the Chicago Shakespeare trial of 1916. I posted about this and mentioned it in our social media not too long ago, and then was able to track David down, and we have a great episode in store about that. Most of you don't know that Shakespeare authorship was on trial in this country, in Chicago in 1916, and the court ruled that Sir Francis Bacon was the true author of Shakespeare.
There it is.
So that's going to be a very intriguing and fascinating episode. We have an episode coming with Stephen Wolfert about his use of Shakespeare to work with those who suffer from PTSD. And his work is incredible, and what he has been able to do to help people using the works of Shakespeare to deal with their trauma is just amazing. And that's going to be an episode that I think you all are going to just fall in love with, because I know I did. It starts to choke me up. He choked up in the episode. It's really incredible how, regardless of who you think wrote these works, how these works can impact others and have for 400 plus years. And then we're going to have more professors from English literature in the halls of academia, including Professor Scott Shershow. My S's, I still have some problems with my S's.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, apparently not with only half a tongue. Scott Shershow of UC Davis regarding his work on Shakespeare and Marxism. That's going to be a very timely and incredible episode coming as well. and some other irons in the fire. So we have a fabulous 2026 ahead of us, of course, including our fantastic event at Gray's Inn. It is booked. The reservation is secure. Registration will be available in the next week. And you can go to monumentalshakespeare.com to see the details as they are being posted there and shared there. A lot of the detailed information is already there, up and ready for you. monumentalshakespeare.com, and registration will be open in the next week. Watch, if you're a part of our email subscriber list, watch for the email that says registration now open. Get your tickets. It is limited seating. There are 110 available seats in the Great Hall at Gray's Inn, and that's it. That's the max, and it will sell out. So, especially because we are advertising it to all of the inns of court. We're advertising it to the barristers associations over there, and it qualifies for solicitors and barristers there to use as part of their continuing education credits. So many of them have shown an interest in attending because they're going to get it 8 hours to use towards their annual requirements. So you're going to want to jump on that if you want to join us in London, because it's going to get packed. It's going to sell out. Exciting year,
That's exciting.
Jake.
Yeah, I'm jealous about that. I wish there was literally any world where we would be able to go do that. But yeah, I mean, listen, like we said, 130 some odd countries. We're international, baby.
So let me put this to you, and then I'll talk with my co-founder of Monumental Shakespeare, John Foss. He and I have been sharing with each other about ways to stream it, possibly, at least to record it. And we could use a tech master if we're going to do that. So you might end up with a ticket to London, friend.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk. We'll have to have that conversation off air as far as whether work will allow that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, if either way, whether I'm there in person or not, we could definitely figure out a way that I can help ensure that we can, get that recorded in some way, shape, or form.
Well, as this episode is posted, John is on his way to meet me here in Southern Oregon as we sit down together face to face and finalize the little dots at the ends of sentences and crossing our T's and dotting our I's. So he and I will be able to have that conversation, and then I'll get back in touch with you.
That sounds great.
But it's the May ticket, Quillers. So make your reservations now. And thank you all so much for your continued support, especially those of you who are members of the Patreon page. Don't forget, you can be a free member of the Patreon page as well, just to stay informed and to get the access to the things we post there. But if you want the bonus library, you have to subscribe at the serial Quiller level or above, which also then qualifies you for our Quiller of the Month drawing. And that would be the signal that it is time, Producer Jake, to name the first Quiller of the Month of 2026.
Our January Quiller of the Month, all of our eligible names are in our wheel of names here. And without further ado, let me go ahead and click that. It is a spinning, and our Quiller of the Month, the first Quiller of the Month for 2026 is Jen Swan. Jen Swan. I think this is definitely her second, if not her third time being Quiller of the Month. Which goes to show you that there's no limit to how many times you can win. Every month that you are an eligible Quiller, you get entered into it, regardless of what happened the month prior or what will happen the month after. But thank you so much, Jen, for your continued support of the program. Thanks to everybody who continues to support the program.
Indeed. And, that leads me to this. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Producer Jake. So some of these people who have won Quiller of the Month multiple times over the years need new merchandise to choose from in the swag shop. They might already have a hat, a hoodie, a t-shirt, a cell phone case.
They don't have all of them. What are you trying to get? What are you getting at here? What are you
I'm
trying to
saying you need to create some new merch to put in there
All right.
that we can unveil to our Quiller Nation. Let's come up with some new items.
We'll come up with some new designs and some new items here in the year to come for sure.
You know what?
By the way, I did just to do the math here.
Yeah.
This is Jen Swan's third, and she is tied for the most Quiller of the months with Edward Henke and Frank Lawler, who both have also won 3 times, and the 3 of those individuals are our 3 most winning Quillers of all time.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Since May 2022, which was the first month that we did it.
That's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh, well, that's cool. So that's right, because May is sort of an anniversary month for us as well.
Because that was when we launched the Patreon, right?
Yeah. So that's going to be 4 years coming up this May. So that's fantastic.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
So keep your eye out on your email, Jen. We'll get you all your gettings.
Happy anniversary, Quiller Nation. I am so proud to be a part of this journey with all of you, and so grateful that all of you invite me into your listening space every fortnight to continue this exploration into this great literary mystery. I can't tell you how much gratitude I have to be a part of this and to have worked with Jake all these years and to continue this mission to spread the word. We couldn't do it without you. Jake says that all the time, and he's right. Not only because of your support, but because we do it for you. You are the inspiration for the quality and the effort that we put in to bringing you each and every episode. So thank you all so much.
Yeah, I will second that. We are a small but mighty podcast that could, and much like PBS, we are made possible with listeners like you. Not just for the financial reasons, and also it's like, we have a very loud community, and I think that that's really important because we can have 5 times as many listeners as we have now. But if we never hear from anybody and it's just a one way where we're just putting stuff out into the ethos and there's never any confirmation other than numbers on an app that people are actually there, I think it would be a lot harder to keep doing it. And so the fact that we know people by name, that we have a community where we have names that are familiar and that we have the recurring guests and we have people who are tied in. And I'm sure that we're people who have met each other by both being Quillers. And we have people who, are familiar with one another. I love that. It's my favorite part of any podcast, really, that I produce. And I really love that we have such a nice little community, and hopefully the community just keeps growing, and, we can just keep doing what we do.
All right, Jake. Well, thank you so much for joining us for our 8th annual anniversary episode. Happy
anniversary to you.
Yeah, happy anniversary to you. And hopefully we'll get to see each other sometime and have a longer conversation off air sometime. That would be nice.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out a nice road trip this year to go up the coast and maybe go just do a whole vertical, because we always drive east to west, Alexandra and I. Whenever we travel, we never go north south. I was like, oh, we should go up to Oregon. So yeah, we'll sometime this year we'll try to.
We have plenty of space. I bought a travel trailer this year, and we use it as a guest house when we're not out about camping. Lovely. So you guys would have your own very comfortable, convenient space.
Yeah, we might take you up on that. We're also, I'm making a movie this year, and it's a movie of my own. It's a feature film that I'm producing and directing, and doing it entirely independently, because despite the fact that I work in the entertainment industry and that I work on movies, TV shows, and all sorts of stuff for a living, none of that stuff, it's become work. It's not entirely, emotionally or creatively fulfilling, a lot of that stuff. It's just me facilitating other people's stories that I don't necessarily have a big interest in. And so I feel like as the years tick on, I keep thinking, I need to tell some of my own stories. So we will be doing that, which is going to tie up a lot of both my time and budget this year. But we're going to try to figure out a way to sneak in a trip somewhere. We deserve it.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Well, you guys know you're always more than welcome to come up here.
Thank you very much.
I have a fenced yard, so
Oh.
the dogs would have a place to roam and not be wandering into the forest and get absconded by wild animals.
Lovely.
Yeah. And when you're ready to make that documentary, I have a great title for it.
All righty.
You ready?
I'll accept the pitches. No guarantees, and I'm not giving you any percentage if I go with it.
Here it comes.
I'll put that on the record right now.
Keep asking questions.
I see what you did there. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave a rating and review in your podcast player. For even more, visit our website, don'tquillthepodcast.com. There you can find official merchandise in our shop, as well as a link to our Patreon. This show is made possible by people like you. We hope you'll consider showing your support by becoming a monthly patron, where you'll receive bonus material and tons of exclusive perks. You can also join in the conversation on our Discord and by following us at Don't Quill the Pod on all social media. All of this can be found at don'tquillthepodcast.com, don'tquillthepodcast.com.
It's Dragon Wagon.